The Don River Bridge Extension, a project management plan, presented by Amr Sheikh, Giuseppe Garisto, and Angelo Mandarello. Due to waterfront Toronto widening the mouth of the Don River, the overlying Don River Bridge must be extended. AGA Consulting Inc. has developed a framework to be performed for the duration of the project to allow its successful completion. This consists of a detailed management plan for the various aspects of the project, such as scope, schedule, risks, procurement, stakeholders, communication, costs, quality, and integration.
The current opportunity with this project is to modify and extend the Lakeshore Boulevard Bridge that goes over the Don River. Some goals that we will use to determine the success of this project are exceeding the expectations of the stakeholders and ensuring everybody can use the bridge safely. We will be using some innovative technology like sensors to monitor the structural elements of the bridge as they are in use over its life cycle, and as well to keep with the firm's belief we'll be using a environmental friendly construction materials and a sustainable design methodology. Some factors that we feel are necessary for the success of our project would be the agreement on the project goals between the sponsors, team members, project managers, and stakeholders of the project. Clearly defined responsibilities will have to be given for team members so they are accountable for the work that they do and they are responsible for, as well as consistent and effective communications between all three stakeholder sponsors and management, make sure everybody is on the same page. Some of the assumptions that we have made for the planning of this project is that we are responsible only for the design and the construction of the bridge over the Don River. The design engineers and the drafters will have complete control over the design with the consideration of the stakeholders' needs and inputs. There will be a 5-day work week with no overtime, so no weekends. And due to the low probability of any catastrophic events like earthquakes or tornadoes, any contingency plans revolving around those events is not going to be planned for.
The methodology to be undertaken for the project was extracted from various case studies and academic papers. This allowed for the extrapolation of certain aspects of the methodology that are deemed useful. These include 1. Work breakdown to organize the tasks into their constituent components. 2. Define quality for the completed tasks according to the stakeholders' needs. 3. Assign resources to tasks including personnel, materials, and equipment. 4. Define activity relationships to determine how tasks relate to each other and how their modifications and completion affect one another. 5. Allocate the amount of resources per task and determine if their distribution is reasonable. 6. Estimate the cost of every aspect of the project that affect the budget. 7. Generate a project plan that outlines the entire process to be undertaken throughout the duration of the project. And 8. Retrieve approval from stakeholders based on the activities and their quality. The scope consists of various aspects of the project, which are present within the project assessment, geotechnical design, structural design, and construction. Out-of-scope components include the transportation design of the bridge, environmental design, and stormwater drainage design. Scope management can be broken down into several areas, including collecting requirements, defining scope, scope approval, and scope maintenance. By performing each of these functions, the scope can be developed according to the project's needs due to their accurate definition and constant updates with stakeholders to ensure the scope still pertains to their needs.
The scheduling for the Don River Bridge modification project has been involved in this presentation to give an idea of how long that the 4-year span will be for the proposed schedule. From this schedule, we can see that the project assessment phase, the geotechnical substructure design, and the structural superstructure design only takes about 5 months of the project cycle, and the remaining 90% of the project cycle has been dedicated to the construction phase. Some key takeaways from this schedule is that once we finish the design components, we start the construction a month after to ensure that we can reach out to our sponsors and get feedback on our designs and make any changes necessary to meet their requirements as well. And another thing to note is that there is always someone from either the project management team or the engineering design team involved in all phases of the project, including the construction phase. And we do this to ensure that information is consistently being integrated seamlessly and there's a mitigation of risk when it comes to contracting. The overall schedule can be broken down into major milestones where we can see that the geotechnical design phase finishes by January 15th of 2021, the structural by February 26th, 2021, and the next three are dedicated within the construction phase where land excavation happens by January 21st, 2022 for the foundation. The bridge frame superstructure finishes a year and a half later on July 7th, 2023, and the bridge will finally be open to the public by March 1st, 2024. For this four-year design project, an estimated cost of 43.5 million has been suggested by AGA Consulting Inc. based on the $30 million construction cost that was stated by the sponsor in their request for proposal. From this total cost, we can see that only 3.5 million of it has been designated to the engineering design services and the administration component of the project. This was developed through the team resource allocation throughout the schedule and is in line with Ontario Society of Professional Engineering recommendations of being 14% of the entire project. If we break this cost down further, we can see what each project and design engineer would make on the left pie chart. And if you look at the construction costs on the right pie chart, we can see what each task would amount to within the 30 million allocated budget as well. Due to the nature of this large-scale project, a risk assessment matrix has been developed as well that can be seen here. Some of the common risks associated with a project of this nature have been listed here with their likelihoods stated as low, medium, high, their impact on the project, and the mitigation strategy proposed by AGA Consulting Inc. to reduce their effects. Some of the risks that I would like to bring your attention to is the failure of the substructure, such as the cofferdams, or the superstructure, like the bridge, when constructing it, which would cause a risk to life for the construction workers or the people using the Gardner Expressway above. This has been mitigated, as previously stated, by ensuring that a design engineer or project manager is on the construction site at all times to ensure quality of work. Another potential issue is cash flow risk or budget risk by the sponsor. This has been categorized as medium likelihood, as delay of funds would require resource reallocation, which may not be possible for the engineers. This would reduce the quality of work and impact the likelihood of other risks, such as structural failure mentioned before.
As part of resource management, this table here has a list of the human resources that we will need in order to complete the project, as well as our assumptions, the types of experience that they should each have in order to be contributing to the project, as well as to successfully complete the project. As another part of the resource management, we have the responsibility assignment matrix. And what this does is it lists the activities that are present within the project, as well as all the different members of the project team, manager, designer, contractors, and stakeholders. And it shows who is responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed on each of the following topics. So in the events of any conflicts between team members during the project, this table here shows the different types of approaches that we can take to resolve these conflicts, like avoiding or forcing, and a little bit about how we would incorporate these. So for avoiding, we would move away from the conflict and come back to it later after everyone has time to settle down, or in a case like forcing, we would just choose one person's point of view over the others, and then we just work from there. So this is our project communication plan. It lists all of the deliverables that we will need to communicate, who they will be communicated to, how they are going to be communicated, how often they will need to be communicated, and who is responsible for communicating them. For the procurement of any materials needed for the project, we will have to reach out to suppliers, give them the specifications of the materials that we will need. Ideally, they would give us a quote back, and from these quotes, we can compare them to our budget, and we can make a decision from our suppliers based off their reputation and their skills. For the contract between the suppliers, a fixed price economic price adjustment would be most beneficial to us as the buyer, as the project is going to span for multiple years and a lot of things can happen. Any equipment that is required for the construction will need to be handled by the contractors on their own.
Stakeholders present within the project include AGA Consulting Inc., which is the firm in charge of the management and extension of the Don River Bridge, Waterfront Toronto, who are the sponsors of the project, the various businesses within the surrounding area with workers who will use the bridge, the residents of the Portlands area who will use the bridge as their main means of transportation, and the construction company who would develop the bridge. To ensure the stakeholders are satisfied with their participation and outcome of the project, an engagement plan is developed. This plan aims to provide stakeholders with a summary of the project and what it intends to accomplish. It intends to provide a communicator to stakeholders, along with engaging stakeholders consistently throughout the project and allowing them to keep in touch with the management team.
Given all this, we at AGA Consulting Inc. are confident that we can deliver the highest quality of work that will be within the budget and on schedule by integrating effective communication within all levels of the project. Thank you for listening to our presentation.